Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 86 of Clowning Clown, where all the clowns around the clown clam down around town. I don't You're still here after that, and that shows that you really must have thought that the Nova Roma giveaway was going to be announced this week and not next week, or else I'm sure you would have turned off the computer or phone or TV or abacus by now. But thank you for being here. This is where we're going to take a look at every single board game campaign that is finishing up this week. That's right, this is the most comprehensive tabletop news show around, and I'm sure nothing will ever change that fact and beat me moving forward. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate getting another week in the can as we get closer to 100 episodes. I think it's a bit premature to say 100 episodes because I still have like 3 months, fairly certain, till I hit 100. But even still, I'm happy to be here. No sponsor this week. I'm not wearing an Into the AM shirt, but hey, if you want to go check out Into the AM, use my code SlipperyJim so that I can keep on having that code exist, well then, hey, go for it. But more importantly, I want to do a huge patron shout out. Huge shout out to my newest patron, Ian. Thank you so much for jumping on board. Thrilled to have you as one of the rabid. Call your doctor. You do have rabies. That is a common side effect of the Room and Board Patreon. I'm sorry to tell you, I really should put that in the disclaimer, but I know that people won't sign up if I do. And then once you're rabid, you'll be frothing at the mouth to get back. So Ian's going to call his doctor. And thanks to Copeland and Michael for, extending and going up to the year-long tier. Easier that way. That's like what I do with Kickstarters. Just click back and forget about it. And then when you get charged later on, you'll forgotten about it again. So it works so perfectly. Let's take a look at the week. We got a big week this week. I think some of them might actually be good. I'm actually excited to talk about a few of them. So let's get right to it, starting with Wild Gardens. This is the only thing on BackerKit. Probably ever again, because it's a horrible platform that no one should use. But hey, let's check this one out as BackerKit's swan song continues. Intrigued. I hope this is good. It looks good so far. Why is there not a rulebook on this tab on the side? I do not know. But at least we have noodle salad and mushroom ravioli. Oh, these dishes look good. Basically, you're going to be collecting ingredients, cooking dishes for points, and then feeding those dishes to other people where you'll chain kind of symbols together for double points and different effects. You're also making your action spaces better as you go along. The art on this is just really beautiful. Oh, and good on them on the campaign page. Normally, BackerKit campaigns, you don't show the price. They just hide it because it's, again, a stupid platform. Where is the rulebook here, though? Oh, come on. No, don't do this to me, Wild Gardens. Why is there not a rulebook on your main page? I don't want to see someone else's how to play. I want to look under the hood for myself, thank you. That's disappointing. That's really disappointing. That changes my whole enthusiasm for it. See, nothing in the updates, nothing in the FAQ. 7 days ago. Can you tell us more about the solo mode? Yeah, I know that you haven't confirmed anything, but even just better than a regular sketch. I mean, I don't want to condemn them right yet, but it's just BackerKit. So there we go. Here we go. Okay, I've pledged in BackerKit. Unfortunately, it still hinges on being able to read the rulebook. I've watched a few videos available. I know they have a nice looking rulebook. Please post a rulebook, even if it's a temporary Google Doc. That was 20 days ago. Our graphic designer is working on the rulebook as quickly as possible so we can post it before the project ends. We hope to have it posted in the next week or two. That was 19 days. Where is the rulebook, honey? Luckily, this seems like a very straightforward game, right? But the fact that you're not posting even the Google Doc as it was just requested in your community tab. Where was that? Can we go back to get it? What an awesome comment by Ducko and Family. Honestly, Ducko and Family, you are the hero that these people needed. This is the information that they needed to hear. Unfortunately, they didn't deliver on this information, and they have 5 days to go at the time of this recording. This finishes Wednesday, April 19th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, so 3 a.m. Eastern Wednesday. I'll watch Jenna's recap because she's great. It's very well filmed, but seriously, not good. Great, thank you, Jenna. Thank you to Rose Gauntlet, but thank you, Jenna. Oh, gosh, I should have looked at the shipping and just saved myself the trouble. 25 US. Yikes. 16 US to get to the United States. It's $50 though for the game, so it's be 75 US to get to my door, and that's like 90 something. Generally, that's probably too expensive for what this is, and what this is just a simple engine builder. The video tells you enough of what it should be. Again, I would have really loved to see the rulebook here. You're going to, and thankfully they do have videos, because now I actually know information that they don't tell you up here. And coincidentally, this is an idea that I just came up with for making Monopoly more interesting. There was a 6-year-old child, not a 6-year-old child, a grade 6 child. They're the same. Basically, they're the same. They're 6-year-olds, right? I don't know. Are they 80? I don't know. They're the same. There was a grade 6 kid who, a friend of mine is a teacher, and he wanted to design a game, so he was talking to me about how to go about doing that as like a project. I thought that was cool. And I said, what games do you like? He's like, I love Monopoly and Risk. I was like, okay, well, let's try to talk about ways to make Monopoly more interesting, right? Like what can be more interesting. He had a whole idea of trying to raise the population and the popularity of your town, but if you do non-eco-friendly things, your town won't be as happy towards you, which I wish that was true. I didn't give him the bad news that the town will likely be happy for you and vote you in again because they don't care about, the future or these wild gardens. But that's neither here nor there. Basically, you're going to have these 5 action tokens, which will allow you to move a certain number of spaces. So you move your standard person, you move them to wherever you want to forage, basically, which is picking up resources, but you can only move the number of spots on your action token. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to 4. And so that gives you a little bit of flexibility, a little bit more interesting decision space than like, I'm going to roll and move. You have a limited amount of movement. So I came up with that idea as well, Rose Gauntlet. You were going to get such a rave review because we're on the same wavelength. And then you're going to be, like I said, collecting these foods and feeding them to the hungry people and getting points. That's all it is. And these tokens that you're upgrading, you just make your actions better. That's it. Seems very simple. $50 US, honestly, that's a good price for the gorgeous art, right? Like it feels like a nice thing to have in your collection. Very lightweight, it feels, but the no rulebook thing for me and the additional shipping, it's really $66 to get to the US, which, could be on the upper end, depending. 75 US, which is like 90 something Canadian. It's not it for me, but might be it for you. So check that out. The finish is April 19th, 3 p.m. EST. Also, Backer Kit is so good, it doesn't give you your own time zone. Way to go, Backer Kit. You're really great. Moving along to the Thinning Veil relaunch. I'm not going to cover this too much because I covered it back when it didn't hit and it canceled, and I figured it would cancel, but I thought it looked cool, and then it's coming back for a relaunch, and it looks like they didn't change anything, and they aren't going to hit their goal again either. But the minis look really good because it's so expensive. Base pledge at £120, it's $200 Canadian, not even talking about shipping. This would certainly fit into the unaffordable death match that we're having right now over on our Patreon Discord. I don't know though, you can look in the Crowdfunding Countdown master list. I went into a pretty decent detail last time this came up, so I just wanted to give it a shout out in case you were interested, in case you missed it. This likely won't fund though, so I can't spend the time on it again. But go back and check that out if you want to know what it's all about. You can always check out any previous Crowdfunding Countdown just to have a little chuckle with me and see what I was thinking back when I was a fool and knew nothing about board games, unlike right now and the future. So let's move on. That's also finishing on the 20th Wednesday. Like, it's not going to get there by Wednesday. It needs they're just over 50%. It's not happening. I don't know if it'll ever happen at this point. They got to really do some serious re-strategizing and seeing how they can lower that price point. Don't do minis. Do acrylic standees. Maybe. I don't know. People love minis. That's usually the only thing that gets people to back. So you're in a tough spot, Thinning Veil. Maybe you shouldn't have a title that's reminding me of my hairline. I got too much hair. Okay? I got lots of hair. Let's move on. To Passengers. Enter Limbo and join us for a supernatural social deduction game. Plan, investigate, and bluff to help your team to victory. Sounds like all of my favorite words. This looks fun. Give me the rulebook. I just like the art. I mean, the premise, the story here is that you're a Reaper and you're bringing souls into Nottingham. Wait, no, sorry, into the land of the dead, and you can smuggle in some good souls who deserve to be there, or some contraband souls who look like demons, who apparently will help you get into the land of the dead, which you're unable to get into. And honestly, if that's the premise, well, then you just need to smuggle the contraband people every time, because you got to get into the land of the dead and quit your job, right? Like, that just makes sense. Who's corrupted by a demonic promise? No, these guys, they seem nice. That's why they have so many eyes, so that they can stare at you intently and show you how much they care without blinking. Wow, this seems like a pretty decent deal, too. Now, where's the rulebook? See? Thank you. Full rulebook. Love it. I mean, don't love that it's, well, it's halfway down the page, fine. So it's Avalon meets Nottingham, really, because if you're a good soul, you don't know who the bad souls are. And if you're a demon smuggler, you want to work together to secretly get demons into the afterlife. Okay, cool. Interesting. So it doesn't matter too much if you know information or not, because you're going to end up knowing who's who. What really matters is you want to score points. So both the soul guides, the good players, and the evil players will get points depending upon who is where in what boat, for example. And so each round there's going to be 2 boats, and you can fill these boats with cards, and you want to set yourself up to send the right boat to the area. But also, depending where you place your cards in the boat, you get these special gifts, and these gifts will then be resolved in order from 1 to maximum, and you get to do the things. And those things are, you know, switch things around, look at a card, maneuver things. And so part of the play is, what gift do you want? How do you use it? What do you tell around the table? How do you communicate with your fellow demon if you know who the demon is? That sort of thing. Yeah, it seems fun. Seems like there's enough here to distinguish it from other social deduction games, and it seems like if you like the social deduction genre, legitimately looks pretty cool. It's 27 euros, 40 bucks Canadian, and then plus shipping. But I was going to scroll to the stretch goals where we already talked about them. You do get a playmat. You do get a couple of extra things that offsets the shipping. You know what, passengers? I love this. Even though 17 US is very expensive for shipping, I love that you specified. Not often people specify, and that can lead to confusion. And even though not putting USD would be a better marketing tactic, you did, and that's awesome. So I really like this. I like this as an idea. I think it seems simple and fun. If you're into the social deduction genre, I think there's a lot here, and I think there's enough here to set this apart from other games. And I think they're doing all they can to make it worth purchasing now with those little extra stuff. You get this little silence expansion, which is just going to be dumb cards like, players may not speak as long as they haven't used a gift, which sounds fun in theory, and then you go, oh shoot, I can't talk all game night. But just different like event cards that'll happen, and then a free backer, a free playmat for you to put your cards out on. Really impressed with this. I am. Even with the price being pretty expensive, for me, it would be like 44 euros-ish. Because the euro and the US dollar is basically the same. So like 60 bucks, which is a lot for like a game that I'd want to pay like 20 Canadian, honestly. But if you add in that extra value, I think they're working hard to make that extra value happen. I don't know how exciting the actual scoring will be, to be honest. It feels like the scores feel kind of similar depending upon what faction you're on, and because of that, doesn't really matter. Feels like it matters less, that sort of placement and hiding where things are. And so I think if you're looking for like a pure, more bluffing game, you're not going to get that as much here. But still, I think worth checking out. So if you're interested in that, check it out. That's Wednesday, April 19th at 2 p.m. Moving along to Eco-Sfera. Cooperative deck building where you must restore nature before it's too late. Also 27 euros, same price as Passengers. Forgot I even clicked on this one, honestly. That'll tell you how memorable it is. Let's check it out. Oh, it's Eco-Sfera, not Sfera, because the ecosphere. Why not? Why not put the pH? You need the pH balance to rebuild the world. At least that's what my fish tank says. Yeah, we have a fish now. Renee bought him on a whim. He's a beta fish or a betta fish, just like I've never been a betta male, but a beta one. And his name is Candy Muse. You can bet your bottom dollar it is. He also has a pet snail, because Artie needed a pet. That's why we got the fish, Candy Muse, and then Candy Muse needed a pet, so now we have Eureka Snail. Anyway, That's how I know about pH balances, as I desperately waited for the tank to get set, as Renee's impulse purchase stressed me out to the nines, because I was worried Candy Muse would die. I wouldn't have wanted to write that headline. Okay, I don't often do this, but I do just want to look at this person's reaction here. I love that reaction of, oh my goodness, what is this cool game that you've set all this filming up to pull out of your bag? Look at this. Oh, ooh, that does seem good. You know what? She's the real MVP of this video. Wait, is it Eco-Sfera now? Who can tell? Has this been published before? It's odd for Tom to give a quote on something that hasn't been published. Rulebook in 4 languages. Do you have any of those for me? The gameplay is immensely captivating. Well, I can't wait to be captivated. Oh, only 6 pages too. Great. That makes me feel like their brief gameplay section is all you really do need to know when the rulebook is so short. Anyway, the goal of the game is to get 7 biome tokens. These are biome tokens. You get a biome token when you have 2 of the same animal that gives you the biome token. In this case, you win both the... I can't read that. Tulsa? Taiga? No, that's the taiga. Oh, of course it's not a taiga. One, I don't know how this bear is helping rebuild anything, because bears are famously known for tearing things down and leaving families in shambles. I wish all bears were in the tundra. Oh, do you think they're in the tundra? Oh no. Is my family in the tundra? They're so cold. They don't have fur on them. I hope they're in the temperate forest. Is this a clue? Is this a clue by the bears telling me where to look? Oh my goodness. Anyway, this taunting message of fear aside, this would be a really good combination, because you would get 3 biomes and you need 7, right? But how do you get animals? Well, you first need plants. And how do you get plants? Well, you play element cards, like these element cards, to take a thing that gives you those elements. So it's like a little deck builder, and you're trying to make sure that you always get plants and stuff. And you can take additional resources, but if you ever have 3 of the same, you draw them, you get a disaster tile, and then you can get more disaster tiles. And disaster tiles, as per the name, well, they're bad. They're bad. You also get these one-time abilities where you can pass someone a card, draw an extra card, or refresh the market, basically. All right, what's the shipping? Shipping to the EU, €8. That feels reasonable. USA, Canada, 14 euros again. And so very similar. Passengers and this are going to be the same price point, which for me is a bit too expensive. But hey, they've got a print and play, which might be the way to do it. Of course, you'd have to print a lot of the cards, so that might not be the best thing for you, but I don't know. I always love seeing those options. I like people being able to access things if it will provide them fun, right? Like that's why I am so focused on accessibility and price and whatever, is because I want everybody to be able to have a great time with board games, regardless of your financial status. So, looks cute enough. I mean, again, it's also tough to make this a recommendation, because there are other co-op deck builders that exist that might provide more depth to them than this will for the same price, right? But it's still, like, looks solid, neat idea. That finishes Thursday, April 20th at 9:59 a.m. Moving along to Gatefall Monsters. Gatefall Monsters is the latest team to arrive in the Gatefall universe, and if I remember this correctly, oh, I got Joey's pick of the week. Well, you might get my pick of the week. Yeah, Gatefall, I think, was my pick of the week. Weird that they're not showcasing my pick of the week. I see you, Gatefall. Good luck if you get it this week. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, it's this little skirmish game that I think looks really cool, and they had plans to release a bunch of different factions as well. You're trying to bash each other in the head, either making your deck more powerful or triggering your abilities, and it seems like a really solid outline for a skirmish game. And so each player controls a team. That's key, because this is an expansion, so you'd need the base Gatefall. You'd control these, the Mummy, the Monster, and Dracula. And so this $29 price point feels very exciting until you realize, oh wait, that's half a game. I don't like this either. One character for another $12, that just feels not great. Although the Invisible Man is very funny. You want to make an accessible game? This is why he's $3 cheaper, because he doesn't come with a mini. You just put his tokens in other places. Yeah, this was what I thought looked really good. The fantasy versus the wasteland. That was $60. That feels better than this 3-person thing. And then you having to get other characters if you want that variance. I don't know about that. Gatefall Monsters and Gatefall Core Set. This would be for me because I don't have it. It'd be $120 Canadian, $88 US, and then shipping would be not in the tab. US and Canada, $12. It's expensive. EU, $20, right? The US and Canada is not bad at $12, honestly. And I do love if when shipping is quoted later, you're unable to pay the amount quoted, we will happily refund your pledge. That's great. They haven't said if they'll refund you with your, 3% fee off. Probably won't. Oh yeah, I did forget that these minis are gigantic. That's cool to highlight. And here are the upcoming teams. The Boglins. Yeah, I really like the concept here. I like the addition of all the stuff. I think they had a standee option that I was excited about last time they did this, and it seems like they're not going the way of the standee anymore, and that makes sense because nobody cares about standees ever. People care about minis, and I understand that's the thing that people care about. It just seems like a little bit too much of a buy-in if you're getting this faction. But again, that core edition, I remember thinking it looked good. Still would cost me $100 to get, right, when I want to spend like 60 on it. But still, like, mechanically, this game looks really fun. And I think it's absolutely worth checking out. I like the variants, and I feel like it's going to play quickly. So if you're interested, that finishes on the 20th at 5:51 a.m. So actually, before Eco-Sfera. Moving along. I'm dead! But legends never die. I'm not looking at either of these. I just saw this. I thought that this was one of the funniest. I thought it was one of the funniest pictures out there since Bad Boys and Wicked Women. And you know how much mileage I've gotten out of that. This new catchphrase, I'm dead! I don't know why it makes me laugh so much, but I'm just picturing her as a ghost being like, hey, I'm dead. I need your help. The I need your help is a little less funny. Because, ghosts have feelings too. This is just an escape room game. That's all it is. 65 backers have spent $16,000 on it. Nah. Because it's $125 for the classic edition. I'd just spend $20 on webscapade.com instead. Because that story's definitely going to continue. We've got it all mapped out. I'm just never going to write it. Anyway, let's move on. I'm dead! Yeah, we're not covering this either. Let's get to another game. This one is called Crown of Ash. Crown of Ash is a game of warring necromancers for 1 to 4 players, combining worker placement and area control to test players' resolve. Let's check it out. Ooh, I'm a bit hyped. First created. Let's go. How much is it going to be? 54 US. I'm hyped. I hope this is good. That video got me hyped. Where is the rulebook, baby? Cool. I like this. Simple, fast player turns, high player interaction. Just a pinch of luck. High conflict, low, take that. Cool. Read the rulebook. Give it to me. Yes, and also like in the top third of the page as well. Oh, I hope this is as good as the video looks. I like that you're not just buying like fighters, you're actually literally raising them from the dead too to add them to your crew. Cool. Through the art of alchemy, the dead will rise. Through the art of slavery, the dead will slide. Oh, God
yes,
damn it.
That's right. They're
Why would...
slippery and they're sliding.
No.
Yes, they are.
Get out of here.
I'm not leaving. You've missed me. I haven't been around.
Would you...
You know I haven't been around.
I know you haven't been around for a reason.
Yeah.
All right, what have you been up to?
Oh, you better believe I've been playing with formaldehyde.
No. See, this is
Formaldehyde's
why
so
you're not invited on the channel.
I'm like a toboggan.
Get.
Oh,
just horrendous. Cool. I do love the concept of these structures, though. So it's worker placement. It's worker placement. I don't know if I said that. The overall premise is there are going to be a number of different areas that you're going to fight over. You can see the 6 areas around the Crown of Ash, and they all have their own little structures. They all have spots for workers. And so you can go to these places and get those resources, use those resources to purchase new fighters, and it's the fighters that are then going to defend your structures and your areas. So you can see these people, these symbols right here, the color, they have control. Those players have control over those areas. They have people in them. Over the course of the game, you're going to want to go to different areas, build better structures on top of them so that you get more points for those structures. But the more structures that are there, the more points the place is going to be worth, the more potential people are going to be fighting you for that spot, using the army of the dead that they've resurrected. I'm getting hung up on this owner's tax, which I just assume is if somebody else puts their meeple there, you get a thing, right? Like very Lords of Waterdeep. I just wish that was clarified. Oh, it's up here. Great. I just missed it. If using a structure controlled by another player, the owner immediately gains the owner's tax. Boom. Great. Love it. Love that. Gives you a reason to take over structures as well if you think people are going to use them. But do you let people fight over hotly contested areas? Do you go for other places? I don't know. You probably do. And you're always going to be fighting over the Citadel because you get points for this every round, unlike at the end of the game where you get points only at the end. Well, you get points. This is also interesting too. You get points every round for all the things that you control, both your structures and the main Citadel, which gives you a bunch more points as well. And this is something that I really like too, is it shows you what you get. You're going to always play a combat card when you lay your things down, and it shows you what you get if you win and what you get if you lose as well. So you always get something depending on the combat. That feels really good. It's got a solo mode as well. Cool. I probably wouldn't want to play this solo, but I don't play a lot of things solo. And then it's 45... Oh, that's the base pledge, yeah. £45, 54 US, 76 Canadian. Look out for updates. They're going to add in asymmetric powers through the community. Cool, you can play with it or without it. And what's in the box happens after the gameplay pledge. Great structure of this campaign page. Oh, you can get standees instead of the cards. I think the cards are fine. The base seems completely fine. Now where's the shipping? Custom insert, great. £16 or 19 US. This would be a $100 game. Backing Kickstarter is expensive, right? It's the truth. That's why you really have to be excited. Like for something like this, where it's a new creator, this game looks good. I'm legitimately considering it. Yeah, really nice. What a great surprise. That finishes Thursday, April 20th at 4 p.m. If you like area control and worker placement, check this one out. Moving along to Tabletop News. It's your weekly rundown on the tabletop gaming industry's latest news created for gamers by gamers. Wait, but didn't I say that? That's right, this is the most comprehensive tabletop news show around, and I'm sure nothing will ever change that fact. At least there's no money, right? There's no money in making the new $150,000 for the... Oh, cool. Because it takes a lot of production and money to produce a weekly sort of news show on YouTube, right? Their goal is to release a full-length episode every week on YouTube. And let me tell you, I've seen people try to do that, and they can't keep it up.
That's what she said. I wrote that joke myself.
And that was a very inappropriate time for you to come in and say hello, Maggie.
Well,
I'm only including you because people have been wondering how you're doing and what you've been up to.
You know what we've been up to.
We gotta keep it PG.
PG?
Yeah.
No, that's pretty
What do you think about this tabletop news segment, Maggie?
Well, I think it's a load of hooey. I think you are the most consummate tabletop professional in the business.
But, you know, they're consummate professionals.
No, I just said you were a
That's what you get if you donate to them.
Well, people give you $150,000.
I could never say that.
Well, that's why I can say it for you.
It's very nice for you to say it.
You're the most special boy of my heart.
Yeah, I probably would have a full studio.
You would have a full studio, like I said. We could do many things in there.
She can promote it in the way that I can.
Oh, I'll promote a side
this is no shade. This is no shade to Tabletop News. And it's great that, you know, they're creating a show, and I wish them all the best of luck. And yes, I will come on and be an anchor. You're right. It's fine. I will. Where else are you going to get such great news anchor jokes like this one? Quote me. Next up in the news, we have the game Quote Me, which originally was going to be the tagline said by Nicholas Hoult in Mad Max. Too many words. It's too many words. It's not going to land. It's not a good joke. Just push through it. Try to push through it. You can get it there. But he thought it would be less meta than Witness Me. I just thought it was kind of funny idea of Nicholas Hoult yelling, "Quote me!" But now I say it. Now I see that this is what having a writer's room is for. This is what having a writer's room is for. Okay, give me one more shot. Give me one more shot for my audition. Quote me? I don't even know her. Hello, darkness, my old friend. If you want to support Tabletop News and help these successful people get another show off the ground, well then, hey, that finishes Thursday, April 20th at 4 p.m. Hey, quote me. The 80s called and they said, hello. Stupid. moving along to Mycology. It just kind of irks me that they're like, hey, we wanted to do a news show that's completely independent and not sponsored by people. And then you look to YouTube and there's so many people doing like actual board game news shows that are not sponsored by anyone. There are definitely people doing a lot of sponsored stuff though. And then you got people like me working for half a hot dog. Use code SlipperyJim and into the AM. Okay, let's move on. Mycology, a board game of foraging for fungi. I'm a fungi. I hope you can forage for me. A cozy board game about foraging for mushrooms designed by a mycologist. Oh, that's really cool. I'm excited to check this one out because I think somebody mentioned in the comments that they were interested and they had backed it. And this is why I ask for you to say, hey, what you're excited about so that I can flag it and get excited about it too. And have it all let me down when I have no rule book on the page. Is it fungi? No. Is it fungi? That can't be a real thing. That's what the voiceover person said just now, and I refuse to believe it. Now I hope they're offering a can of mushroom soup or a steaming mug of mushroom soup as one of their pledge levels. If not, that is a real missed opportunity. Hand delivered. I don't care how much it costs. I want to get my I want to get my game, and I want the delivery driver to hand me unwrapped, untested, who knows how long it's been, what's been being dropped in there, but it needs to be steaming and it needs to contain mushroom soup. How the steam gets there, I don't know, but that's what I want. Okay, that's what I want. This is 50 Canadian, which is better than Wild Gardens. And if this has a rulebook, then it's still better than Wild Gardens. 50 Canadian is like 35 US, so that's pretty good. 36 US. God, I'm good. And humble. This card iconography could be better. This is your cost down here. This is your what you collect after you harvest it. And then you got to fill your basket. The game ends when you get to 10 mushrooms. You can see 4 red ones, 3 yellow, 2 green, and 1 blue. And the mushrooms can be located in different climates. That's how you know where to put them. Read the rule book. See? Wow, what a concept. I mean, it is like almost at the very bottom of the page, but it's a short page, so it's equidistant for all the other people who like to hide the rule books. 4 pages. Boom. Easy peasy. On your turn, you roll 2 dice. Everybody collects those things. You then get to harvest one of the stuff, one of the things out there, put it in your basket. Bing, bang, boom. Poison mushrooms can be worth a lot, but anytime you get a certain resource, you also have to take poison, which is worth negative points. So getting a poison mushroom at the very end feels pretty good. And then just most points wins. Seems very simple. Might be a little bit too simple for my taste, honestly, but it, feels nice. See, but here's why. Note all shipping prices are provided in USD when your pledge is in Canadian, like keep it consistent, right? So this is actually 19 plus 36, 55 US to get to somewhere in the US. Again, better than Wild Gardens. I think Wild Gardens feels a bit more interesting though, to be honest. 28, so almost double to ship it even to Canada. Right, because it's 36 US, 28. That's tough, but it's tough to ship to Canada. It really is. I'll talk about that more when we get to Mindbug, really. Because they're sending me a copy, and they said, well, I'm talking about it now, I guess. They're sending me a copy of Mindbug because I thought it looked cool, and I was like, yeah, I'll do some review content for you, but there's no way I'm doing it before your campaign ends. And they're like, that's fine. And I thought it was interesting. It's kind of that head-to-head, 2-player, one of those things. There's a saying associated with it. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get to it when we get to it. Anyway, they just sent me an email too, and they were like, hey, at least I'm pretty sure it was them. They said, listen, is there any good shipping into Canada? Like, do you know of any? You're always talking about shipping on your channel. And we really, really would like some help on that. I think it's lovely that they're looking for help. And also, I don't know anything. I know enough to say, wow, that's expensive, but it just is. It's really expensive to ship to Canada. Again, that's why, like, it shouldn't be a bar, but it should be factored into your decision, and shipping should always be factored into your decision. And if you're excited enough about the game, it shouldn't matter. Because if you're excited enough about the game, then you want to support the game, and it should be worth that extra price. And if it's not worth that price, then you're not excited enough about the game in order to get it. It's just very simple. This one looks cute, right? Definitely looks cute, definitely looks simple. I think a little bit too simple for my tastes, but I like that bingo mechanic of everybody getting resources and buying the resources, but that just feels a little random in terms of what you can actually purchase. And you can trade a bunch of stuff too, which is good, but it just feels like there's not that much mitigation that you'll be able to do in this one. personally, for my taste. But if you're interested in that, check it out. That's also Thursday, April 20th at 8 p.m. Moving along to Battletech Mercenaries, a new box set expanding play for the Battletech game of armored combat, over 50 high-quality miniatures, amazing play, and new fiction. And yes, this is raised over $1 million. It's raised over 2. You know what? It's raised 5.682 US, which is $7.5 million Canadian. Top 15 highest funded tabletop Kickstarter. This is huge. I know there's been people in the comments, I've seen you, every time, say, why did you not give me a 5 reasons you shouldn't back? And honestly, it's because this looks too hard for my little pea brain to understand. No, it looks like it's more of a mini-centric game, and I don't feel like I'm that much of an expert in it, but we're going to take a look and see what it's like, because it's raised $5.6 million. It must be doing something right. Yeah, I know exactly why I didn't do a 5 reasons, because I didn't want to spend a billion years learning this system. That's so many people who've just jumped in for this challenge coin and a free digital novel. Oh, Mercenary Salvage Box versus the actual Battletech Mercenaries. I mean, listen, this is one of those sort of Warhammer-style games where you just look at all these factions that they have, you look at all the minis that they have, you look at all the different add-ons, and like you could spend a bajillion, quite literally a bajillion dollars. See, getting the maps would feel good, because you get different places to play. That's cool. Savannah map packs. Plushies. Actually getting a little mech plushie. That actually feels pretty cool too. $45 value for this one mini. It doesn't feel like a value to me. The how to play section happens halfway down the page. They know that if you have not started with this, you won't. See, I really appreciate this, but this is also something that I don't appreciate as someone who says they read all the rule books. How the core rule books work. This is a rule book about the different rule books, which actually I love. It's a 12-pager that feels really good in order to like tell you the scope of what you're getting into, which you shouldn't. You just shouldn't, because you can spend all that money on something or a bajillion other things, really. Or hey, if you love Battletech and you think it looks cool, get what you're going to play. That's the main thing. Get what's going to bring you joy. And if it's not going to bring you joy worth the price, then don't get it. But how expensive can we get? What are the bets here? $275, $500, I bet $1,000. Oh, no, $5,000. And this is all gone. There were 20 backers. For the next 2 years, you'll receive 2 copies of every item published for Battletech dropped to you in frequent supply caches. Oh, it's like the Strategist Pledge, sort of, which means a minimum of 28 force packs and 2 times any physical reward, stretch goal, or battlefield surprise from this Kickstarter. A logistics sergeant has already been assigned, as his direct email will be provided. In addition, you'll join the ranks of the Kerenskis, which means invitations to any convention conclave, as well as a guaranteed invite for you and your friends to future Kerensky Con event to hang out and roll dice with the CGL team. For people who love Battletech, I can see why that, wow, $5,000, but that feels almost like the better, like the best value thing, and it's all gone, so it doesn't matter. And you get 2 options so you can play against your friends, which I think is just a lovely touch. So you know what? I'm not against it. I mean, I am. It's like ridiculously expensive. Let's be real. When you think about things in this like minis genre, it's easy to just throw away money, but I do love that it has the beginner box for a $35 entry. That's not too bad. If you like a Hex war game, check this one out. That finishes Thursday, April 20th. Lots of things finishing that day at 10 p.m. Moving along to something not finishing on the 20th, but finishing on the 21st, it is the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Let's see what their stretch goals are. We know the price point for this. It's $195 for the base game. Honestly, let's see how many people have pledged base game. 477 versus 6,962. I don't know if Valenwood gives you that much extra, honestly, and seeing the difference in Canadian, that makes me pause, right? 35 US isn't that much, but it's $50. It could be another whole game, or you could get this Valenwood content that's like 5 chips. I think a case could be made for the base game at this point. I don't know if that's me going back on what I've said before. Premium health chips for $50 Canadian. Get out of here, Discord. 74 out of 81. Next unlock, the Thieves' Trove enchantments. 20 extra items and relics because people wanted more of those. We get a few new classes. See another Valenwood class. Spell Sword, Outer Watch, Rogue, So a bunch of new classes. The classes don't make that much of a difference though, but it is fun to have them all, like Pokemon. Oh, they're also throwing in, I remember reading about this, also throwing in an extra mat. So just a cosmetic mat for every single expansion they're going to give. They're now resigned to producing a cosmetic mat because people wanted it. I mean, Chip Theory, they listen to their backers, but you're basically just getting a bunch of items and a bunch of new chips and a bunch of, a magnetic counter. That's kind of nice. That's better than like a standard Too Many Bones. Those counters are kind of annoying, but you can also just keep track in your head too. Or on a piece of paper. As of April 12th, 99 chips. It's going to be 100. 65 health chips, 88 tokens, 161 dice, 248 cards. I mean, what's the contents of Too Many Bones? That's what I wonder. Sure, rulebook, it'll be in there. 55 chips, 59, 63, 64. Plus 7, 71. Okay, 71 chips and 133 dice? So you get more. It's not that much more. Well, you get 30 extra dice. I guess that's a lot. And like 30 chips. I guess that's a lot. And a bunch more cards too. Well, 60, 120 cards versus double cards. Right, if you look at it from a component count, and you know that they're selling Too Many Bones, the base game, for 150, 195 and free shipping. Pretty good. Somebody misinterpreted my comment in the Elder Scrolls saying, in the 5 reasons you shouldn't back, saying, I can't believe people don't think there's going to be a rule book. They say there's going to be a rule book in the contents. I'm like, that is... You did not get the memo of wanting to actually look at the game beforehand. Have they gotten a rule book? I don't think they have. But they do have a lot more detail now in their updates. This is interesting though, and I believe this answer. $195, surely you've baked shipping into the base game price. I mean, I don't want to open a can of worms here. Yeah, basically they didn't discount the price. They just decided to subsidize shipping. But I think the key here actually for Chip Theory, and I do believe this with Chip Theory because I've talked to a few of them in terms of their profit margins, because I've talked to a few members of their company who are like, why do they price it so low? They need to increase the margins, and that the margins are not similar to like other companies. And I believe that. I believe that to be genuine. And that's also kind of why I like Chip Theory, because they know they want to make it intense, and it's going to be intense, and people are going to have to spend $1 bajillion on it, but they could be spending $1 bajillion plus one. My thoughts on Elder Scrolls were it was really fun. It was really fun at $195. That is a hefty, $267 Canadian is just such an expensive price point. I mean, I guess it's all relative, right? Like, it just feels like a hefty hit, but I'm a person who never takes vacation either, right? Like, I'm worried about going on a trip or whatever because of, hotels or whatever. Renee was reframing WSBG. She's like, oh, you know what? You could just not buy Marvel United and you could go to the World Series of Board Game. I was like, you're right. That's true. So it's all relative on what you want to spend. But for cheapy old me, that it's a tough ask, especially because I haven't yet explored Too Many Bones or Burn Cycle as much as I would like to for both of them. So while I really enjoy this, it's just a product, honestly, of a lack of time and a lack of time to play things that I want to play versus things that I should be playing for the channel, right? So that's a kind of a unique situation for me. But yeah, it was definitely a fun time. Definitely the lightest Chip Theories games that I've played in terms of it being accessible, and that I think is a good thing, is a positive thing. You already know if you're getting it or not. There's nothing I say here that I could tell you. I think the thing with Chip Theory is I think they are trying to make this have a lot of value to a lot of people, and I think that is their goal. Whether or not it does have that value with all the stuff they've put in it will have to be a personal decision because the price is up there. But a really solid game. Would absolutely play again. If I had it on my shelf, I might opt for Too Many Bones first. I think I might. I think I like the systems a little bit better in Too Many Bones. Yeah, that Too Many Bones remains the one that I would be interested in exploring more sooner. And I think that reason is I really like the Delve section. I didn't necessarily enjoy the town section as much, but I also think that was in part because I was playing a demo and I knew I wouldn't get to continue on with these characters, right? So I was thinking about that sort of initial idea and that initial one-shot experience versus actually building towards something. I don't know. I like Chip Theory games, but I think they're... I'm a cheap person and I like expensive shiny things, and I luckily have the self-control to tell myself that I'm not going to get them. So probably not backing this one. I mean, what's the bar at which I would back? If it was 150 Canadian, I would back it. But I realize that it's a pipe dream, right? That's just kind of my upper budget. And it takes a lot for me to even spend that much too, so... All right, let's move on. I've talked myself in circles enough on this one. You can tell that I'm just like, I want it. But my self-control and common sense should win out. Moving along to Vanity Plates. No. No. Why did you even click on this? I think I wanted to make a joke that it was Kick Street. I think I was going to pretend that I thought it was Kick Street, this Vanity Plate, license plate. Or Kick Your Sister. And now that we're here, let's keep going. Moving along to the Royal Limited, a Scott Alms Simply Solo wallet game. A solo game of placing fancy train cars, loading them up with fancy passengers, and trying to leave on time. Only $12. See, that's a room and board price point if I ever heard one. I hate this. This game is about me wanting to get on the Chip Theory Games train, but being too poor. While the less fortunate passengers jostle for space to get a glimpse at their idols. Print and play. They have a print and play for $3 though. This is awesome. Following Food Chain Island, which looked really good. Ugly Griffin Inn. Simply Solo. One player only. You want to fill the train cars with passengers. That's what these little tickets represent. Because you're just a faceless entity. If you're not a VIP, you don't get a cool name like K. Harrison or T. Hughes or J. Hull. Nah, you don't even get a face. You just get a little ticket and a number. And you have to match up the train car. Oh, this is really cool, though. You can also get Food Chain Island, saving $16 to get the whole solo line. And these are highly rated, so... I mean, I think Food Chain Island seems a lot better than this one. Food Chain Island seems like the most interesting out of the group, because I've looked into them before. This one seems fine. It just seems like a little efficiency puzzle of trying to match passengers with the car number as well. And I think it would be interesting, but I think Food Chain Island would be more interesting. So if you can just get Food Chain Island in this, which I think you might. I mean, you could just go to Button Shy and get it anyway. Yeah, this doesn't beat Food Chain Island to me, so... But it looks fine. Again, not really a solo player, not really a wallet player. I'm more of an empty wallet player. Check that one out if you're interested. That finishes Saturday, April 22nd at 10:30 a.m. Yeah, moving along to Mindbug Beyond. This is the expansion for Mindbug. We've covered Mindbug in a previous crowdfunding countdown. That's one of those, the evolution of dueling card games, co-designed by Richard Garfield. A two-player head-to-head, beautiful card game.
So it's just like Duel Monsters.
You bet your butt it is. You bet your bug it is. Dang it. Ugh. So close. I could just edit that out and retake it, but we would know. I would know deep in my soul that I screwed that up. I'm excited about this. I'm excited enough to say yes to a review copy. I think this will be interesting. I thought the original Mindbug looked good, and I think this looks good as well. They're just adding a whole new... Thank you for the rules right there, Mindbug. You know I wanted it. They're adding in a whole bunch new actions, right? That's a great video as well. The rules are very simple, though. What I like about this is there's no deck construction, but you get the feel of that deck construction game. And also, to mitigate somebody just getting a good hand of cards, you have these mind bugs. If I play a card and you're like, I want that, then you can play a mind bug and then just take it as if you've played it. So you can do two things in return. You play a card or you punch. And if you punch, you want to punch your opponent in the face. Each opponent has 3 life points, I think. 3 life points. Boom. Very simple. I think it'll play quickly. I think it looks good. And, well, I remember saying that the base game looked good. And this looks equally good. I think these are standalone sets, too. I hope. These just give you a bunch of different cards. 35, 52 Canadian. I bet the shipping's going to be bad on this one. But you know what? I actively know that this campaign is trying to get the best shipping possible. See, this is what I like, though. First Contact pack was 17 euros, and the fact that there isn't a pledge level for just one feels very weird to me. Zone 5, Canada. Well, yeah, you see how horrible it is to get to Canada? But Zone 1, Germany, and the US, actually pretty reasonable. Oh, and the EU, UK. Yeah, see? You're doing all right. Who cares about Canadians? I'm a bit perturbed why you can't just get one. why you have to get both boxes. Why you couldn't just get Beyond Evolution and Beyond Eternity. I gotta look into that. But the reason I'm interested in this is because I think it looks like it'll play really quickly. You can just pull it out, deal it, very simple to teach, play it as like a good lunch break game, honestly. And the variation of some cards might be in there, some cards might be not, and the idea that I want to force you to use your mind bugs. I'm trying to trick you into using your mind bugs, and if you use them, great, then I can use my really good cards. Or maybe I've played the really good cards and I'm trying to pretend to make you take your mind bug. So I like that give and take. I like that there's that sort of mitigation in there. You're basically hearing my whole review right now. And these are just the new mechanics, which I'm sure will be interesting. Why is there not just a single pledge? 4-player rules? No, they're not. Tabletop Simulator, Tabletopia, that's great. Yeah, 2 standalone expansions. They are standalone. So why do I have to get both? That's my question. Because I think, like, if you're getting it, if you think you're interested, you're getting the shipping. Still, I would rather just get one. I'd pick the one that I would be the most interested in, because I think 17 euros, this is where that game wants to hit. I think if you're not sure, paying 35 is not the best thing. So you should just get the regular game. I don't know. I'll have more information when I review it anyway. So honestly, wait until then. I can have more contact with them. But yeah, that's the only thing that's throwing me off. Otherwise, I think it's a really cool system. I think it's going to play really well. And seems neat. So that finishes Saturday, April 22nd at 4 p.m. if you're interested. I think it's a good price for the 2 boxes. I just wish that there was the option to get one. That's all. Moving along to the 3 little pigs in the Wild West. Oh, look at everything here. This is a tangent, as these episodes always are. Players receive one of their dice and roll it. The lowest value will be the start player. In the event of a tie for highest dice, the older player will go first. Stop with this. Just say randomize start player. Just say randomize it in whatever way you want. The oldest player going first is a silly rule. You know what I want to see in a game? This is what I want to see in a game. I want to see the start player have this exact text. Randomize the start player however you'd like. If you'd like the rule book to tell you how to randomize, well then the first person to call up their parents or family, last contact in their phone, and say, "I've been very naughty, ooh, 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 ah, 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 I deserve a spanking," gets to go first. And then the rulebook can say, yeah, that's what you get for not just randomizing turn order in the first place. I do really want to see that in a written, printed rulebook. Make it happen, someone. And I don't care what your game is. I will care. I will care what your game is. But I will promote it. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, this is a little roll and write with rondel mechanic, where you're going to be moving your little piggies all the way around to market, trying to avoid the sheriff wolf. How the wolf got to be a sheriff, I don't know. Or maybe I do know. Maybe there's a unjust and unjust profiling against wolves, and yeah, wolves can be the sheriff. That wolf worked his way through Western Town, and actually the wolf was in the right, and the pigs were building their land on the wolf's property. Ever think about that? Ever think that the wolf had a legal right to blow those houses down? I bet you didn't. You miserable. What I do think is cool is that you're going to be taking your dice and you can change the value of it by stacking new dice on top of it. So the power of your dice is what its pips represent. And so by stacking more on top of it, you can change that power. It's like a roll and write. You want to get stuff to do stuff, and it's $4. Anyway, if that rondel movement system feels interesting, trying to run away from the wolf and stay away from the wolf, check this out. It's pretty cheap. That finishes Sunday, April 23rd at 8:39 a.m. Moving along to the penultimate game, HexploreIt, Fall of the Ancients. Return to Green Flame Forest to stop a terrifying goddess from mind-wiping the entire region. Is that what those kids are doing these days? They're just mind-wiping all over the place. Work quickly as wayposts fall and people around you turn toward her brilliant guiding light. Oh, well, she sounds fine then. It's a brilliant guiding light. Okay, I'm pretty sure we're in the wrong here. If you're a collector and would like to get the most out of Fall of the Ancients, we also suggest picking up the following optional items. Forest of Adramon Expansion, Forest of Adramon Living Deck, Forest of Adramon Encounter Deck, Hero Chest, Stat Dice. That's how you can get the most out of it. It's the only way. It's the only way. But don't worry, there are countless emotional and heartfelt moments that you are going to experience during your campaign. What they are, we can't tell you because that would ruin it. It's true. The only HexploreIt system that I really know is Valley of the Dead King, because that came out while I was doing Crowdfunding Countdown. HexPlore, it's been around for a bit. This is cool, though, and that Valley of the Dead King is the one to start with, because as you progress, it gets more and more complicated, as expansions tend to do. I really like this campaign page, though, because I definitely felt that HexploreIt, I just felt like it was overwhelming to me. And I didn't even want to look at this campaign. I almost just skipped it and pretended that I didn't see it. Because I thought it would be too much. But it feels like this is a really good campaign page to both emphasize the differences and get your feet wet into what HexploreIt is. I mean, like, to be fair, I'm at this point in the campaign page and I still don't know anything about the gameplay. But I believe it exists on the page. So the basics will be $99, 135 Canadian. Let's put this up here, okay? All of these people getting early shipping, it's like you don't have 10 games in the backlog that are going to get to your house beforehand that you're going to unbox and put on the shelf and not have time to play. Yeah, it is a personal attack, you're right. Early shipping. Early shipping is, if this is your first crowdfunding campaign ever, go for it. Absolutely. Get it because you're excited about it. If it isn't, you know, your girl's been around the block too many times to worry about shipping or shipping delays. I pray for shipping delays. I pray my games never get here because then I can just live in the excitement factor and not have to worry about giving them enough time to compete with all the other games that take time. You can also get Valley of the Dead King bundle for, again, that $99, which I think I covered. And they say don't get the Sands because it's too complicated. Definitely looks like a different map than Valley of the Dead King. So what's important to note here is that the emphasis on narrative driving story, that means it's going to be that booklet, right? It's going to mean your passages, your choose your own adventure style. It's not going to be evolving mechanics in the gameplay. It's going to be building out your hero and up-leveling your hero as you go throughout the game. If that sounds exciting to you, then keep listening. If it doesn't, skip to Terminus. That's the last one of the week. There's no real rulebook on the page for the base game, and that's fair because they say, oh, we're also changing the base game and you're just going to run around. I think this is too much of a sketch of a game to go in uninitiated. The world seems interesting. The world is pulling me in, but I think that's just the art and the amount of stuff that's out there. I'm like, oh, a bunch of stuff. Great. That seems like lots of variability. Wow. And I'm focusing more on the variability and the stuff rather than if I'm really interested in narrative campaign, which I know I'm not. You have a small sort of turn tracker. I don't know. Like, I think the world feels really built out. You can tell by its amount raised, almost $500,000 Canadian, that it has its fans, 2688 backers. But with no rule book, with not that many videos about the game, I think they're just preaching to their fans. And you know what? That's completely okay. If the fans like it, great. They can get a nice big campaign game. Way to go. Anyway, if you're interested in that, that finishes on the 23rd at 1 p.m. The 23rd being Sunday. And finally, we have Terminus. This is by Inside Up Games, a game of subway building and resource management for 2 to 5 players. Inside Up, of course, having just produced Earth, which everybody's talking about, which, you know, it's fun. I think I might be a little less hot on it than I might have been in my first impressions as we go through, but it's definitely one that I'm not going to get rid of, so I'm excited to play it with my parents, and I think they'll enjoy it. But that's not this one. We're talking about Terminus. Hopefully their Kickstarter gifts will actually be usable for this campaign rather than the dumb little soil that they put for Earth, which are worse than the tokens. They just objectively are, because they're in the perfect shape for when you grab them. This will be in my review. When you grab them, you can't pick them up. Your fingers just slide right off of them. And you're taking so many at a time that you need things that are like a 5 count. Just like not thought out. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting this at Kickstarter if those Kickstarter gifts feel exactly the same. But let's take a look at the game because I think it looks good. I like route building. I like connections. I like making connections with you all. Okay, let's get to it. I was hoping to be the same price as Earth. It's not. 74 Canadian, 55 US. Earth was like, I think something crazy like 54 Canadian. It was such a good deal. Let's see what it was. 54 Canadian. God, I'm good. That's what I say anytime I'm at the pearly gates right before I get kicked into the deep abyss. God, I'm good. I swear. Free metal coins and Terminus markers for all backers. So these little markers that you can stick on top of your wooden disc that won't have a slot for them that'll just fall over throughout the course of your game. Okay. Well, the metal coins are interesting. And honestly, Metal Coins is a pretty good stretch goal like add-on because they're generally expensive. Rondell Action Loop. They didn't talk about that at all in the video. See, this is why you go and you read the rulebooks. Oh, this is great. It's got a 2-player Automa, or Automa, I would say Automa, included, which means that you want to play it at 3 or more players. It's just good to know that. Rulebook, halfway down the page. Hi. Come here. Artie would like me to terminate this. Oh, sorry, bud. My legs aren't together enough for a cuddle spot. Do you want me to do that? Yeah. We've been having a stressful time, huh? Stressful time. I think this is a pretty good breakdown. This gives you, as a gamer, anything you really need to know about the game. You get victory points by taking actions. You can purchase and spend resources, build your subway line, place developments in the city, which unlock new actions. And then you can also purchase upgrades to become more efficient. You're just going for points, right? You're going for points no matter what you do on the city. You're going to get points. You're going to have these little objective cards of things that you want to do, places that you want to get to, hubs that you want to put down. You do that over the course of 3 rounds. Person with the most points at the end wins. I like this passing element, that you get more stuff the earlier you pass. That's always something I enjoy in games. My neighbor, who is a designer, who has a design that I keep talking about, is also, I think, playing this because he works in transit. He's like a transit advisor. And so I'm excited to see what he thinks about it. I'll probably give you an update in the next episode. But this for 55 US, 74 Canadian, but 55 US is kind of that standard. I mean, when we think about Wild Gardens being 55 or 50, and Mycology being, well, that was 50 Canadian, never mind. But anything around that price point, it feels like you're going to get a decent amount of game here, and then it's, an additional $15 for shipping. So 70 US, not the worst value. You might get that back, the shipping cost back with the metal coins. If you like metal coins, that might be a reason enough to get it now. I love here, too, that they now have to put in a ding and dent policy because too many people get like the tiniest little ding on their rule book. And then they say, I need a whole new pledge. Give it to me. That's very funny to me that they have to have a full ding and dent policy just from the meta of it all. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this right now, honestly. It looks like those things will click. My neighbor was like, hey, do you want to play this with me and Inside Up Games? And also, can you help us with streaming it live and doing all that? And I said, absolutely not. I'll just let you give me the recap as Artie gets in my light. So I'll give you the update on that one next week. And then you can always pledge, because that's always going to be a thing. It's all going to be dependent upon the efficiency, not the efficiency, but like how satisfying all of these parts are. And like from their description, they seem like they're going to be satisfying, right? Like mapping out the most efficient way, fighting for those hubs, building through other people's hubs, etc. It sounds all fine, right? But it sounds like board game the board game. You know what I mean? And that could be a really good thing, or it might just be a very average thing. So, jury's out on this one. I think it looks very interesting, but I also don't know, which is a weird situation to be in. Anyway, I'm glad it's doing well. I like Inside Up Games. I think they've been really ramping up their quality. I like that this one looks like a good follow-up to Earth. So if you're interested in that, check it out. That's Tuesday, April 25th at 8 p.m. And that's it. That's it for the week. Now, every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me being the thing that I'm the most interested in personally, and the pick for you is, I don't know, it's a pick for you. It changes depending on how I feel and how the wind blew under my sails that day. But I do have a definite pick for me, and then I'm really struggling with the pick for you. I really am. No, I just finished my struggle. Okay, I got over that. I'm not going to enable you. You know what I was struggling with, and it's not going to be the pick for you. The pick for me, though, is definitively a Crown of Ash. This one looks awesome. This looks exciting. This is something that I might legitimately back. Like, I'm pretty close to hitting the back button. That might be my first campaign that I've backed this year, really. And, like, the shipping makes me hesitate, but I think it It's going to be like $100 Canadian to get this. But I did just do my taxes and realize that I can write off board games now. So let's do it. Yeah, it's really close. I like the idea of the escalating value of the spots for the workers, for the buildings. I like the idea of these 6 core area control placements. I think this is going to be good at, that 4-player or 3-player count. This one looks exciting, and I'm really going to contemplate over the next 5 days and decide if I'm going to do it. I'm pretty close to pulling the trigger, and I like that it's the first created by this company. Way to go. My pick for you, this is tough. You know what I was thinking of. Listen, this is too expensive to be the pick for you. It's not the pick for you. But I think Chip Theory makes good products. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, let's move on to the actual pick for you. The actual pick for you is give someone $150,000 to make 10 episodes of a YouTube show. I think is that too sassy? No, I actually think it's great that this thing might exist. And yeah, that is how much an actual production costs. People on YouTube do things on the very cheap. And if you want a studio and a bunch of people working and being able to make actually a wage, well then yeah, it costs money. I don't think that they should be shamed for trying to earn a living wage, rather than most people on YouTube who work for half a hot dog. But my actual pick for you is going to be Mindbug. Now, it's not Mingbug Beyond. I don't think it's Mindbug Beyond because I don't want there to be, you have to get both. Yeah, because if Mindbug Beyond only gets you both of these for some inexplicable reason, then no. It's just to get the actual base game of Mindbug, which I'm excited to get and I'm excited to review. I think that is, though, right? I'm looking for the value pick, and I'm looking for one that I think looks good, and I'm hopeful for, and so that's it. That's the one. There were definitely, it was a good week, though. I really think it was a good week. Lots of contenders here, lots of things that seem interesting. So let me know what you're backing out of anything here, and let me know if you're not backing anything, because that's also okay. I think, and I feel like I should re-emphasize this over and over, there's always going to be a lot of games to be excited about, right? And it's very easy to click that back button and to just get a whole bunch of games coming in at your door all at once, piles and piles of them, and to let your hope exceed the actual amount of time and interest that you have in playing these games. And so this is just a reminder that even though there are a lot of fun things, there are a lot of games here that I would happily play, right? I'd happily play them. But for me and my purchasing habits, I don't want to buy a game just to play it once and then have to go through the process of selling it to get my money back. I want to buy a game that has the potential of sticking around. And so that's what I try to highlight here. And if you think that one game will do that, then that's where you should be spending your money, and not necessarily on a bajillion things, right? There is a pick of the week, usually every week, and if you bought both, you would have 100 games in your collection. And there are so many better games at retail than most often the picks, and you can get them for cheaper and be completely fine. That being said, Kickstarter is an exciting thing to see where people are being creative and the new ideas that are coming forward and who's using it as a pre-order system and whatever. It's a fun process. It's a fun process to shop in advance. But remember, you got your friendly local game store that you can go in and you can shop. And I think that's always a good comparison to make when you're saying, oh yeah, if I'm going to hit back right now, I'm spending this virtual money. Well, think about walking into your game store and spending that actual physical money, and if you could get something that you would be more excited about. I think that's a very legitimate consideration, and it's okay to just watch this show and look at these games for the creative part and to enjoy the hobbies. That's my sort of statement that I feel like I wanted to make this time. That being said, some of the draw to Crown of Ash is that it is a new company and it would be cool to support, that sort of thing. So 50-50. Who knows? What can you do? Anyway, let me know what you're excited about, what you're not. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Chris George, and I do not have a catchphrase. But I do have a cat who I don't know where he went, and I hope he's not peeing somewhere. Okay, goodbye!